I'm going to introduce my next speaker, who's going to come and give us another wow factor that we need in our lives. Introducing him, he is Abe Thobyane. His full name is actually Abraham Makwadi Thobyane, who's the Group Executive Human Resources. His other name is known as Abe. As I said, he's the Group Executive of Human Resources at Nedbank Group Limited since the 1st of February 2011. Before joining Nedbank Group, Abe was Executive Head, Human Resources at Anglo-American Platinum Limited for 6 years. This is experience. Abe holds a number of qualifications, including BA Admin from the University of North, a postgraduate diploma in management, which is human resources, from Wits Business School, and an MBA, which is the Masters in Business Administration, from De Montfort University in the UK. MSc in Banking Practice and Management from IFS University College. He has acquired more than 30 years of extensive human resources and overall business experience in various senior and executive positions in several large corporations and across a range of industries in South Africa. I cannot wait to fill the experience because that's how we learn. Some of his most notable leadership positions include Executive Head, HR at Anglo Platinum Limited, and Executive Director, HR, which is Human Resources, at ISCO Limited. Guys, he deserves a round of applause. Please. The stage is yours, and we are ready for you. Take us to another level.
The previous speaker, her name is Kidibone, right? Can you guys give Kidibone a round of applause? She did a great job. Do you agree? Yeah. I mean, I was looking at her. She speaks with such a beautiful smile. And I'm a very serious guy. I don't smile. So I hope you guys are not used to somebody speaking with a smile because I don't smile. I'm very intense by nature. So how are you doing this afternoon?
We are very happy.
You're very happy. I've been in HR all my working life. I decided at probably age 18 or 19 that I'm going to go to university. I'm going to study an HR-related course, and I'm going to become an HR director. Right? It's as simple as that. At age 16, when I was doing standard 8, my parents, well, my grandparents, I was raised by my grandparents. When I was 9 years old, my father passed away. We were staying in a mine village. In terms of the rules, if the breadwinner who works at the mine passes away, you have to vacate the house. So my mother left and came back to Tembisa and Tambeka. We stayed with my grandparents. My grandfather had 12 kids. My father was the second. Most of my aunts had their kids being raised by my grandparents. So I grew up in a house, probably there were like 50 people in a four-roomed house at any point in time. Scary, eh? So I did my high school at a boarding school in Zirast, Mutsuri High School. So I go there, I do my, Form 1, Form 2, Form 3, I come back, and my grandfather and my grandmother, they call me, and they say, we need to talk. Now you need to understand this. Somebody at my age, at that time, 16, it was 1976. Your parents normally don't say to you, we need to talk unless there's something very wrong that has happened, right? You know, our parents normally ignored us. You know, we would just continue with life. You know, when they said, oh, Abe, welcome. You've arrived from boarding school. We need to have a chat. And I said, great, let's have a chat. And they said, but this is very important. We've decided that a friend should join us. I said, that's fine. Who's the friend? And there was a nursing sister who was very close to my grandparents. She also worked at the hospital in a mine. She was one of the professional people. So she had a lot of respect, right? So we sit down, and my grandparents say, oh, our grandson, we love you very much. And I say, I know that. And they said, we are concerned about your future. So we've had a discussion about your future. And I said, okay. And they said, you're doing study now. If you continue to matric, you pass your matric, we're not sure whether you're going to get a job after matric. So we have decided that after standard 8, you must go and do a teacher's course for 2 years, same 2 years you're going to spend doing your matric anyway. So, but the advantage is that after doing your teacher's course, you have a job. Don't you think that's a wonderful idea? And I looked at them and said, no, it's not a wonderful idea. And they said, why? I said, no, I am going to university. And they looked at me. My grandfather at that time was probably 68, close to 70, just about to go on pension. And he looks at me and he says, who's going to pay for your university studies? I said to him, I have no clue. But what I know is university. Because you see, Granddad, I have decided to be a professional. What is clear to me, and work at a mine, I'm not tough enough to work at a mine. So I have decided I'm going to university because I want to be a professional. At age 16, I did not know what kind of professional. I discovered what I wanted. But at that age, I said, no, don't worry. I will do my matric. It's 2 years anyway. Teacher's course is 2 years. And at matric, I will apply to as many bursaries as I can, and I will see what happens. And my grandfather said, okay, that's fine. Continue with your plans. So I did my matric. So I'm writing matric. I start applying for bursaries. You know, you do that round about June, July. You know, and as I'm waiting for my results in December of that year, you know, the letters keep on coming saying regret, 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 regret. And I'm getting into, you know, some concern, you know. And my grandfather says to me, so how are things going? I said, look, I have passed, but I have, what do we do? He looked at me, he says, so what do you think we should do? I said, if you can, you pay for my first year. I'm going to go to university, I'm going to work very hard, I will pass my first year, and I'm sure second year I will get a bursary. He says to me, yeah, that's like a good plan. Because the truth is, I can only pay for your first year. After that, I'm not sure I can pay anymore. Right? So he pays for my first year, and I go to university, and I'm thinking, yo, I have one shot at this. I have one shot at this. If I don't pass all my courses, you're not going to get a bursary, I don't know now, but during those days, you would not get a bursary if you have one course that you have failed, right? I'm sure it's still the same today, right? So I am saying I have to pass all my courses. I go to university, I know very well that people do a 3-year degree, they take 4 to 5 years. You know, it's like the norm. Nobody passes, you know, their degree in record time. But I have to pass it in record time so that I can get a bursary for the second year. I'm going there with trepidation and thinking, not. It's difficult. I mean, in these days, I'm told 40% of first-year students failed. 40% is quite high, right? So I go, I enroll for a BA admin degree, University of the North. It's now called University of Limpopo. And I work, come on, let's be honest. I didn't work that hard. But I worked reasonably hard. You know, when it was time for exams and I realized, sure, I'm so way behind, I would study the whole night if it required that I study the whole night. So first year is difficult. You do like 5 courses. Second year, you do like 4. Third year, you do like 3. And lo and behold, what happened? I passed my first year. Boom. And I come back and I say to the old man, I have passed. He looks at me and said, I knew you were going to pass. If there's one man who've had an influence in my life, is my grandfather. You know what he taught me? You know, my grandfather, by that time he was on pension, you know, and he went and he stayed in Mafikeng, Mabatu. And I would go there even when I was working, but especially when I was at school. You know, I would be sitting alone and he would come and sit next to me and he would say, so how is it going at school? How's boarding school going? So, and he'd look at my results and he would say, you've done well this time. I tell you, I don't know why, but that touched me so much. I didn't realize it then. I realized it much later. In fact, when we were going to bury him, that, you know what, this man really loved me. And how could I say he loved me? Because he spoke to me. He talked to me. You know, he would come to me and say, how are things going? You know, how's your studies? You know, I remember one year, by the way, let me tell you, I was clever, and I'm sure you can see that. So my first year at boarding school, I'm number 1, right? Second year, you know, I'm number 2. And he wanted to know, so who's number 1 this time? Because first year, you know, and I was saying, is this girl, you know, from Carltonville, you know? So we had this special relationship with my grandfather. First year, I show him the results. He says, but I knew you were going to pass. And I said, look, I even have a bursary from the Chamber of Commerce, you know, to continue with my B.Admin degree. And not only a bursary, they are paying for all my fees, they are paying for all my books, and they're giving me a stipend on a quarterly basis. And he looks at me, he says, I knew you were going to make it. And I was, you know, so I finished my degree, and I start working, and the story of my life starts there. And now I have to talk to you about Dare to Dream, right? Interesting. So let's get into, that was just by the way, you know, an introduction, just to tell you about myself. Where do I click?
Look at that.
Oh, it would, it's not moving. Faces this way. Technology.
Let's try all the buttons.
Born before technology.
Really not happening.
Sorry?
Okay, I think continue with the story while we are still trying to fix it.
Okay, let's continue with the story. Now, guys, each and every one of us is living in their own reality. Okay. Every one of us is living in their own reality. All of us have built the world that we are living in. All of us have created our own reality. Whatever life that you are living, you must know it is because you are living a dream. Wherever you are in life, you must know you are where you are because of your dream. Do you agree with that? Yes? You agree with that? Why do I say that? I'm saying that because each and every one of us, we've got this thing inside of us that drives us, that makes us to strive for the things that we strive for. And that thing is your dream. What is your dream? In my view, your dream is the sum total of your innermost motivation desires, and aspirations. Things that make you to want what you want. That is your dream. Because this thing is inside of us. This thing is driving us. All of us have got a dream, whether you know it or not. All of us have got a dream, whether you know it or not. Because you are living your dream today. If you look at that chart, you see that guy on the left-hand side, my left and your right. Do you know who that guy is? You don't know him. His name is Elon Musk. He's a South African who lives in the USA now. You know what is this guy's dream as we speak today? He wants to conquer Mars in the year 2031. This man left South Africa, went to the US. He was one of the founders of an organization called PayPal, one of the paying organizations. After many years, he sold out of that organization, made billions of dollars, and he started a company called Telsa. They manufactured one of the first few electric cars in the world today. He has also established an organization that is creating a unique rocket so that he can send people to go and live at Mars. I don't know who told him that people can live at Mars, but that is besides the point. The fact of the matter is that he has a dream to conquer Mars, and he has set up an organization that is going to transport people by rocket to go and live at Mars. All of us have got a dream inside of us. The only difference is that some people have got big, bold, and noble dreams. Dreams about changing the world, dream about living a life of greatness, a life of significance. People like Elon Musk. And many of us are like that lady on my right-hand side. All she wants out of life is a secure job in a hairdressing salon and a one-bedroom apartment so that she can play bridge with her friends at least once a week. That's the sum total of her aspiration. She is living her dream. The question is, what is your dream? The question is, what is your dream? Because all of us are living our dream. I'm living my dream. My dream was to become an HR director. I'm an HR director. Can I say that? Yes. A successful one at that, if I can say that. Because that was my dream. You know, from matric, I wanted to go to university to study an HR director. When I left university in 1982, I had a bursary to do my honors from the Chamber of Mines. But I said, no, I'm going to work. I've got siblings, I've got other brothers and sisters who are coming after me. I had an opportunity to study for a degree. I'm going to work and help some of them to go to university too. And I told myself I'm going to take whatever job. The first job I take, the first job I come across, I'm going to take it. And I took a job as a clerk with the Employment Bureau of Mines, a clerical position. Guys, that job, it was a clerical job. It was not an HR job. But that job gave me experience about working life. It gave me a foot into the door. I joined Teba as a clerical staff. We were called Assistant Liaison Officer. 18 months later, Anglo-American advertised for personnel trainees, and I was like, oh, this is my opportunity now to branch into an HR career. So I'm going to apply for a job as a graduate or a personal trainee with Anglo-American. Went for interview, assessments. I was selected with many other people, and after selected, received a letter that says you are going to start on such and such a day at President Steyn gold mine in the Free State. I did not even hesitate. I was like, Free State is far. I know nobody in Free State, but I'm going. And I picked my bags, and off I went to Free State, and I started as a graduate trainee in HR. Because to me it was quite clear. This was a logical progression in terms of building my career in HR. And I went there and I stayed in a hostel a graduate, staying with thousands and thousands of men who have not been to school. And I had a fabulous time. I enjoyed myself. Today, when I look back at that decision I made to say I am going to Free State, I'm saying to myself, I would be here talking to you today if I did not take a decision to go to Free State. Because it was my dream to build a career in HR, and I did exactly that. So Our Lady there's dream is to have a very safe, predictable life. People like Elon Musk want greatness. They want a life of significance. They want to change the world. So dreams are bigger, are bold, and are noble. But the lady has a dream too. And all I'm saying to you is that you too have a dream. The life that you are living today, it's because of your dream. Because all of us, but here's the issue. Your dream is but a start. It's just a start. Your dream will not lead you to your destination. You need something more than a dream that will lead you to your destination. The question becomes, what is this that you need in addition to your dream? Right? That's a fair question. Because a dream on its own, it's not going to take you to your destination. In fact, if I did not know what I know now, I would not be speaking to you, because my friend, Mr. Slikani, will tell you, this motivational, you've got a dream, you have to imagine it, it will happen. I call it psychological mumbo jumbo. Because I could not understand how you could sit there and just visualize something and voila, it just happens. But I now know you have to start with a dream. And I will tell you why a dream is important. Because a dream is your big why. The dream defines why you want what you want. And if you do not have a big why for the things that you want to do, you will give up at the first obstacle. It's as simple as that. But you need more than you need. What do you need? You need a vision. You need a system. You need a model that will help you to do things that will enable you to achieve your dreams. Bob Andrews calls this system, these vehicles, he calls it the 5 activities or the 5 active steps to success. And this is what I want to talk to you about today. That is my message to you. The 5 activities or the 5 active steps to success. And what are those 5 active steps? Number 1, it's a dynamic, frightening decision. That's the first one. Number 2, that dynamic, frightening decision has to be driven by a dream. Number 3, it's radical dedication. Number 4, superior coaching. And number 5, mental toughness. And that's what I'm going to talk to you about. Ladies and gentlemen, a life of success begins with a decision. It has to be a big and a scary decision. If it's not big enough, it will not move you. It must be big, it must be scary, it must be dynamic, it must be frightening. You have to sit down and say to yourself, from now on, I am deciding to change my life and a life of success. From now on, I am deciding to change my life so that it can be a life of significance, a life of greatness. You have to decide that. I told you my story because I wanted you to understand that from an early age, I had decided that I'm going to university and I'm going to be an HR director. I did not know how that decision was going to come about. I did not know who was going to pay for me to go to university. I did not even know I was going to pass, to be honest. At least all my courses for my first year. It was a frightening decision, but I went ahead because I knew what my dream was. I knew what my final destination was. You have to decide, and it has to be a big decision. Some people quit their jobs and go and dedicate their life to serving other people because they want lives of significance. It must be something as big as that. If it's just you saying, I want to have a degree because I want to have a nice family, I want to have a nice car, nice salary, you are likely to be amongst the 40% who fail their first because they have nothing powerful that is propelling them towards their destiny. It has to be big, it has to be scary. Can I show you an example of a big and a scary decision? No, not there first. Not there first, man. We need to go to the decision. Okay. Maybe it's not there. I thought it's there. We'll find it. So the next thing is your dream. No, but I need to share this with you, right? I don't know why the slide is not there. Maybe it's the older version. Here's a decision that I wanted to share with you. It's 1964. Mandela is in the dock, the Rivonia trial, and he makes a speech. We know this speech all over the world. And in this speech, he says to the judge, my Lord, if it needs be, it's an objective I am prepared to die for. That was a decision. That decision was not made at the moment he was making that speech. That decision was made at the time he decided to dedicate his life to this emancipation of black people in this country. He decided there and then that he's going to dedicate his life to the struggle. And he's hoping that he will see his dream realized, meaning the emancipation of black people in the country. But if it does not happen and he needs to die before he sees that, he is prepared for that too. Your decision has to be as big and as scary as that. Because if it's not that big, it will not move you. Many of us today, we are too wishy-washy. Too wishy-washy. You know, I look at people, some of the people we work with, I see them, they are wishy-washy. And I say to them, I can understand why you don't know why you are here. I studied with people who are wishy-washy too. And many of them took 4, 5 years to complete their degree because they did not know why they were. You know what is said? Many of them today, I don't know where they are. I don't know where they are. It's not in my CV, but let me tell you. 2 weeks ago, the Institute of Personnel Management awarded me the HR Director of the Year. Why? Because I am serious and intense about everything that I do. I do very few things in life. I don't like to do many things. I do very few things in life, but those that I do them very seriously. I take them seriously. If something I can't take seriously, I just don't do it. Somebody was asking me and said, how did you become an HR director? How did it happen? And I said, well, I just said, I don't know. It just happened. But the truth of the matter is that whenever I come into any job, the first thing I say to myself is that, how can I add value in this environment and add it quickly? Because it is only when you are making a contribution that you grow. People who are sitting quietly in the corner doing nothing, who don't want to get involved, who don't want to get their hands dirty, don't grow. You need to put yourself in a position that you are out of comfort zone at all times, because that's where growth comes from. You have to decide now that you're going to change. Let's talk about this now. The year 2010, it was just around the corner. 6 years ago. It was the World Cup. You guys still remember the World Cup? 2010. What is your life today? Is there any difference? A lot, except a lot of debt. except a lot of trouble? Is there growth? Is there growth? Is there increase in success? Is there significance in your life? If not, you have to ask yourself, what would you be saying to yourself 10 years from now? That's why you need to make a decision today. Maybe your dream is akin to that lady on the right-hand side. So you need to move to the left and say, I need to take a decision to start dreaming big, to start thinking about doing big things. Why did you go back now in terms of these slides? So the first thing is a decision. It has to be a frightening and a dynamic decision. The second thing, your decision has to be, it has to be driven by a dream. This question of dream, as I said, I used to look at these things and say, no, this is psychological mumbo jumbo. I have realized now it is not. If you do not have a big reason for doing something, you're not likely to stick with that thing long. Especially when obstacles come, you're just going to drop it. You need to have a big why about why you want to do whatever you want to do. Because it's tough out there. Success always requires what? Sacrifice. And if you do not have a big enough dream, you would not be willing to sacrifice. You need a big dream to drive your success because you know what success requires? You have to pay a price. There's a price for success. If you listen to a lot of people, you will realize that they paid the price for success. Mandela was prepared to pay a price with his life. Many other successful people have paid the price for success. But without a big dream, you would not be able to pay that price. So your dream has to be underpinned, success has to be underpinned by a strong dream, the big why. Can I share my dreams with you? I mean, this is so unlike me. I mean, Billy would be surprised to hear that I also have dreams. Yeah? I'm building what they call a bucket list. Right? I have 14 dreams. Somebody who introduced me to this thing recently said I need 100. Time I spoke to them, I could not go beyond 3 because I was like, this is a waste of time, you know. Now I have 14 big dreams, right? Let me tell you, number one, financial freedom. Financial freedom. You see, what I've realized at my age is that it's good to work for a salary. I mean, a salary gives you a great life. And my life, without boasting, it's great. I mean, it is unbelievable, if I can tell you. I mean, it is shocking. How many cars do you have? For the Porsche Cayenne, my wife drives a Range Rover. My son drives a Golf R. The other one drives an Opel C. I have a car that is sitting in my holiday house at Pick and Wood, Jaguar SKR, convertible. I've been having that car for 5 years. It's got less than 40,000 kilometers on the clock. My life, it's unbelievable. My parents, my mother looks at me and he says to me, "Hey, Abraham, no money." And I'm saying, no, I don't have money. I just have a good salary. And I'm joking. But guys, what is driving me now is financial freedom. What do I mean by financial freedom? Simple thing. A lot of us are one paycheck away from bankruptcy, from poverty even. A lot of us. Somebody can wake up and say, sorry, your job is gone, it's going to be a disaster. So I don't want to be in that situation anymore. I've been lucky so far. So I've told myself, now I'm working towards financial freedom, meaning I need to have passive, regular income that is going to be greater than my monthly expenses or yearly expenses. Passive, regular income. So that when Umlungu says to me, thank you, Abe, no job anymore, I can say, thank you, boss, I'm okay. I don't need this job. Second dream is to retire wealthy. Guys, you are very young, but keep this in mind, right? 99% of the working population in this country are going to retire into poverty. In spite of the fact that wherever we work, there's money deducted from your salary that goes into retirement, pension, and provident fund. People retire at an average of 3,000 rands per month after working for 20, 30 years. I looked at this and I said, you know what? Even with this great salary that I have, if I do proper calculation, I'm going to retire at half of my salary today. You know what that means? I have to downgrade. I have to cut my expenses by more than 50%. I have to say to my wife, sorry, no more Range Rover now. You have to drive a Polo. Now, just think about what's going to happen to me when I say that, right? So I can't put myself into that situation. So I've decided I'm going to do something that is going to enable me to retire not only at a position where I maintain my current lifestyle, but retire wealthy, retire with lots and lots of money that I don't know what to do with, and I can give them away to other people. Retire wealthy. It's my dream. And you say, but what are you doing? What are you doing? Is that not the question? Yeah. The question is, I earn a salary full-time because that salary gives me a great life. But I'm working part-time to build wealth because wealth is much more fabulous than just a great life. Number 3, travel to every country in Africa. Number 4, listen to this one. Now, my wife read this thing without me being there, and she was like, are you serious? Holiday home in the south of France with a yacht parked in the Mediterranean Sea. Even me, when I read this thing, I'm thinking, are you serious, Abe? Yeah? I mean, they look like dreams, right? Of course, they are dreams, you know? So I'm just going to stop there. But there are 14 of them. I read them every day. When I get to work, I rewrite all of them. And not only that, I rewrite one dream, and I said, what are the goals that I can put on the table and start implementing now that will take me to this dream? In 5, 6 years' time, if you call me back again, I will be telling you I am financially free. And I have to retire in 5 years anyway. I'm 56 years. 5 years I have to retire. So I've never spoken like that. So it has to be driven by a dream, right? Radical dedication. We're not talking commitment here. We're talking radical dedication. Not just dedication, but radical dedication. The kind of dedication that people can never understand. You know, I had a story, in fact, Bob Andrews talks about this story. He talks about Maria Sharapova, and he said, this lady at age 7, she decided that she's going to be a tennis champion, 7 years old. At age 7, her and her parents moved from Moscow to the United States so that she could have access to the best tennis coach in the world. Frightening decision. Secondly, radical dedication. She used to train for every hour, the whole day, for 10 years without fail. Radical dedication. Not doing your best. I used to say to my sons, before I understood this, I used to say to them, guys, just do your best. You know how deadly and dangerous that thing is? Because in many cases, your best is not enough. You know what you need to do? You have to do whatever it takes. If it takes training for every hour, every day for 10 years, you must be prepared to do exactly that, because that's what it takes to be successful. If they say to you, you are studying and you need to study for 4 hours every day, it's not going to help you to say, I can only do 1.5 hours. You know, hey man, I am tired. You know, I am busy. You have to do whatever it takes. Radical dedication, not just dedication, not just commitment. Do things that people will look at and say, no, this one is crazy, man. Yeah? I mean, one of the saddest stories I've come across is one of a famous golfer, Jack Nicklaus. That man won, I don't know how many, 8 or 9 major competitions. He was training every day. He would train so much that he will miss his son's birthday because he was so dedicated to his craft, to his golf. It is sad, but it gave him success. That's the price. Sometimes you have to pay for success, radical dedication. And the last one is superior coaching. You need to have a coach, you need to have a mentor. And you need to be coached by people who have walked the path that you are walking. Somebody who has experienced what you are trying to do. Because you don't need theory. You need advice that is not theory-based, but that is based on practical experience, because that person has experienced what you are trying to do. They've done it before. Superior coaching, superior mentoring. Somebody said, you know what? Superior coaches are plentiful out there. The only problem is that you don't have dutiful students, people who want to learn, who are prepared to take what they are being coached and implement it. But if you want to succeed, you need to have a coach, you need to have a mentor. Somebody you can trust, somebody you can respect, somebody who's done it before. Not somebody who's going to give you theory, books. And lastly, mental toughness. You're not going to succeed if you do not have mental toughness. You need that single-minded focus, because when you are going to the finishing line, you're going to come across obstacles. And if you're not tough mentally, you're not going to succeed. Sometimes talent is not enough. I see it in football all the time, especially South African football. There's a particular club that I love very much. I'm not going to say what it is. It's got the best players in the country, very skilled, but they are not tough mentally. So that's why they can't win competitions. They played 3 to 5 finals last year, and in all 5 finals, they came out second. Because, not of talent, because of mental toughness. Because at the end of the day, it's only an edge that you need that makes you to win over somebody else. Just a little bit, just a small edge. And that takes mental toughness. You have to be tough mentally. It's a tough, ugly world out there. Robert Kiyosaki says there are sharks out there. They're going to eat you. If you cut yourself in the ocean, it's not going to help you to say, I'm going to pray because I'm a good person, you know. I've always treated people with respect, you know. The sharks will eat you. And in the business world and in life in general, there are sharks out there, and they're going to eat you. You have to be tough. You have to be tough. I told you my story in Welkom, right? I told you part of the story. I get to Welkom. I'm a personnel trainee. It's 1984, right? 1984. I'm 24 years old. I get there. I get assigned to a training manager because I'm graduate trainee. So this guy is responsible for my training. The first thing he says to me, can you speak Afrikaans? I said, well, I understand Afrikaans. I know it, but I can't speak it. He says, you need to know Afrikaans. This is Welkom. Before you do anything, go to the training center and listen to tapes and improve your Afrikaans speaking ability. I spent 10 days listening to tapes. I tell you, whatever Afrikaans I had in me was destroyed in that 10 days. I came out of there, I could not even understand the basic Afrikaans that I used to understand because I was like so against this thing. I tell you, I had so much fights with that man. One of the things he did to me, he forced me to buy a car. He said to me, "You're earning too much money. You must buy a car." I said, "Look, I don't even have a license." He said, "Then you must get a license. Go and enroll." And it has got, I mean, it was not in my training program. So I enrolled for this driver's license. Of course. Do you know what happened? I fail. Because this is not my plan. This is not my dream. This man is forcing me to buy a car, and I'm resisting this. You know? And he would, every 6 months, we sit down for my performance appraisal. The first question is, "So have you got a license?" I said, "No, I don't have your license." And he gives me a fail. "You have failed because you don't have a license." Welkom is cold. You know, I used to stay at a place where I could just walk from work, 100 miles. And he would say, "Okay." He would wait for winter and he'd say, "Because you don't have a car, I'm going to transfer you. You must go and work at another shaft. And we're not going to give you a car. You must go and stand on the road there and get taxis to that shaft." It was cold. I'm telling you, I used to have this long black leather jacket. I mean, even today, I remember that leather jacket with fondness because it kept me warm in those dark, cold days in the Free State. After 12 months of my training program, we sat down with that man and his boss, the HR manager, and they looked at me and they said, "You failed your training. You can't make it in this environment. I think let's part ways amicably. We're going to pay you for 4 months, and I think you must go and start somewhere else." I was paid in cash. I had a brown big envelope with like 4,000 in there. I mean, I was earning 1,300 a month. I was like 4,000. I took this money, I put it into my account, spent a weekend in Welkom partying, and then I came back home. It was around about September 1985. Stayed September, October, November, December, January, February, I started working again. So I was unemployed for like 5 months. And every day, every night, when I went to bed, during the day it was fine, But at night, every day, I would ask myself, "Abe, are you a failure? Did you go to university to come and sit under a tree in Tembisa?" It was tough. It was tough. But I told myself, I'm not a failure. I'm not going to allow that man to define me. And one day I met him at the IPM conference in Sun City. He could not remember me. I was an HR manager then, and I looked at him and I smiled. And he was like, "Do you know me?" And I said, "No, you don't know me." And off I went. You need to be mentally tough. You know what those guys used to do? One of the guys, in that mine in Free State, I would go to a department. And in one department, this guy, he would sit down with me every 6 months. In fact, I spent only 6 months there. And he would say, "Abe, you've been here for 6 months. You've done really great work. I've already filled in this thing for you. But, I filled it in pencil. So if you could just sign it here. And then I'm going to fill it after you, but you've done great." I mean, he would praise me, and I honestly believed him. And you know what he would do? After I leave his room, after signing the paper, he would change the scores and give me a fail. There are sharks out there, and they're going to eat you. And if you're not tough, you will not stand up and move on. So mental toughness is activity number 5, or attitude number 5, that is going to make you successful. You need to develop it. If you can't develop it, to find ways to develop it. Today, this little thing I'm doing on the side that is going to make me retire wealthy has got a development program attached to it. Every month I get CDs, I get books, and I listen to them. Those CDs and books are the ones that are helping me become mentally tough. There are motivational CDs, there are inspirational CDs, there are success stories about other people who've walked this path and made a success of it. And I listen to them every day. There are those that I listen to when I'm going to work, when I feel particularly pissed off with my work environment, and take this Robert Kiyosaki's CD where he talks about there are bullies out there. People are going to bully you, and I listen to things. People are bullying me, and you know what? I'm not going to take this. Mental toughness. You need it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Abe. We have a token of thank you to you. Thank you so much for your time. Now we're closing this, and I'm very proud to say on stage right now, it's going to be my great friend, my mentor. So this is practicality, that it is possible. And now we can see that he trusts me, because I trust myself. Thank you, Billy, for giving me an opportunity. And for us, we will be here tomorrow. It's going to be another rocking day. Billy, you can close.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Let's give Wendy a big hand. She's done a great job. She's done an amazing, amazing, great job. Well, one of the things that Abe did not tell you, that I made Abe when I had nothing and he was employed and working. We became friends then. And I used to ask him, what do you do at work? You know, you've got somebody who's working, dressing nice clothes, and they're driving a nice car, and you've got no clue what they do at work? But I was very curious. I used to ask. And one thing that we had in common is the first time he saw me, he always laughs at me that the first time he saw me, I was wearing a very funny jean and I had a book in here. So me and books had always been friends. And he's also a great reader. So I've learned quite a lot from him at a distance. And it's so funny that some of the things I do the things that he does in his workspace. But he's been a mentor of mine, has been a great friend. He's more than a brother to me. So we all need people that we can hold on to. Remember I told you about associations? Show me your friends, and I'll tell you how far you go. Did you see all my friends today? You see what I mean? Double the doctors. Yes, you see what I'm talking about. So guys, you have a choice to make what kind of friends you're going to keep. Now, I'm going to share with you a very small little story, and then we're breaking it out. Now, this story happens in China. You know, I grew up with Kung Fu movies. Did you guys watch Kung Fu movies? I don't know. You don't know the Kung Fu movies. Now, in any Kung Fu movie, there's an old man carrying water. Have you seen it? With a stick and 2 buckets. Every Chinese movie. If that thing is not there, that's not a Chinese movie. Now, this old man was carrying these buckets up and down all the time. But it was funny, there was something wrong with the left bucket. The left bucket had a crack. So each time he fetched 20 liters of water from the river into the village, by the time he gets to the village, there'll be only 17 liters left because the rest were dripping out of the crack. So at some point in time, these 2 buckets have a conversation. The one that is whole says to the other one that has a crack, hey, my man, I'm very sorry that you don't give so much service to the village like I do. And the one that was full says to the one with the crack, says, you see, when they fetch 20 liters of water from me, 20 liters the village gets. So therefore, I'm an effective servant of my master and of the people in this village. And the second bucket, of course, thought to itself, it's obvious that I have a crack, so I'm useless. I'm not adding any value anyway. And the Chinese old man came because this other bucket was not saying anything. And the Chinese bucket says, you know, I never used to carry you on my left. I used to carry you on my right. And I started to carry you on my left as soon as you had a crack. And here's what I did. On the side that I carried you, I planted a garden. And the water that was dripping from you built an amazing garden that feeds the village. So you're not as useless as the first guy says. You're so powerful, you're just not conscious of how powerful you are. So each one of us might feel like a bucket that is full, that can deliver value. Some of you might feel like a cracked bucket. But here's what I know. None of us is an accident. None of us is a mistake. If you were an accident or a mistake, you wouldn't be here today. We're all here because God has deposited this amazing greatness inside of our lives. And sometimes we deliver it unconsciously, and sometimes we deliver it consciously. So I hope that today you will wake up to the fact that no matter where you are in life, there is something you can contribute. Never ever doubt your ability to become somebody special. Never ever doubt your ability to change somebody else's life. Because sometimes by the words you say, you inspire a person who was very close to committing suicide by just saying the right kind of words at the right kind of time. So I want to thank you very much for the time you took to come today. And tomorrow we start at 9 o'clock. Please be here at about past 8 so that you can have your tea, and we start exactly 9 o'clock so that we have got a new speaker who has to start at 9 and finish at 10 and leave. Does it make sense? Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. May God express himself through your gift, and may your gift live out into the public and change people's lives. Thank you.